Where do you want to go next?
No longer in critical condition, thankfully. My chemical analysis of Auguste also went smoothly, although it certainly raised some questions. I was able to identify the components that give the substance its
Elemental energy?
Hard to say. It was such a minute amount, proportionally speaking. I had to use one of the newest tests developed in recent years to even detect the traces present in the sample. Unless you were abnormally sensitive to elemental energy, I doubt it would have any effect. Even if, as for whether Master's condition was caused by the elemental energy, say.
Oh, that reminds Paimon. Did Tighnari come and find you?
I received a message from him last night, but I haven't heard anything since. The message said he was looking into some information at the
Oh, Paimon thought he might have stopped by to see. Excuse me? Is Miss Emily here? Oh, perfect! Familiar faces!
Colleyi. Oh, of course. Tighnari's apprentice. And please, no need for formalities. Emily.
Oh, okay. Nice to meet you too, Miss, Emily. Did Tighnari send you here, Cole? Yep. Master and the others went through decades worth of records last night and still haven't had a chance to rest. I'm fast on my feet, so it only made sense for me to come and give you an update. Anyway, based on what they've reviewed so far, they believe there's no indication that a researcher by the name of Vijava ever... Master considered that possibility as well. But the name wasn't the only dead end. Master tried to track down people with a similar research direction or back... How is that possible?
It's starting to seem very likely. If we want to figure out her true identity, I'm afraid...
Hey! Lucian!
It's Sylvain! Wait, you don't think Kirio came back, do you?
That seems impossible. If someone came in or out of the... It's locked?
There's no one here.
Lucian! Lucian!
That's...
Lucian! Lucian! Come on! Emily, Emily! My brother, he's gonna be okay, right? He's just unconscious.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sylvain, but...
No, that's not possible.
Traveler, Colley, Mr. Sylvain has gone through a huge... He needs some space to calm down. Could one of you take him next door? It's not good for him to look at his brother's body like this.
Of course.
Thank you both. Mr. Sylvain, let's get you up here. We'll take things from here. Just focus on getting some rest. Here, this way.
Poor guy. He's like a shell of his former self. He may have made some bad decisions in life, but...
Good person or bad, the death of a loved one is equally painful. All the moments he shared with his brother, every hardship and triumph they endured together.
If Kirio really was behind this, then...
Lucian can no longer speak, but the traces left behind by his death... Traveler, I've got things covered here at the scene.
Who would have thought? Yesterday's case is still up in the air, and now this happens. Miss Emily, I heard you're an experienced forensic doctor. Have you been able to discover anything?
Oh, I'm not actually a forensic doctor. I just happen to have some relevant knowledge. I did take a look, though. Judging by the temperature and rigidity of the body, it appears the time of death was sometime last night.
Then, would you mind helping us investigate? Before he left, Tignaри said we could trust your judgment.
Of course, I appreciate your trust. Many of the traces left behind at the scene will fade with time, so...
We'll help too. We don't know much about dead bodies, but...
Pupils are dilated, skin is...
Yep.
And the windows are shut tight too. Seems like the only way to get in would have... Well, looks like we've investigated as much as we can.
So, did you find anything?
Paimon can show you. Here, it'd be something like this.
But entering through the room next door without alerting Sylvain... Wait, you don't think Sylvain could...
No, his reaction to the loss of his brother seemed genuine.
Then, what could have happened last night? I know Sylvain is still in...
I agree. Also, I've made some new discoveries.
Mr. Sylvain, I need you to tell me everything you and your brother...
After Kyria attacked Edgar, we returned to our rooms and decided to lock all the doors. The only door we kept unlocked was the one connecting our rooms. But I didn't hear any sort of commotion last night. Not a single noise. I woke...
So, no movement from the room next door. No signs of a struggle at the scene, and no external injury on...
I did notice a few things about the body. Lucien's pupils were dilated, and there weren't any traces of liquid in his mouth or nose, so it's unlikely he was forced to ingest anything. The more plausible explanation is that he inhaled a substance without...
A goose? No, that's not possible. Inhaling a goose won't kill you. No, that's not what I meant. Emily, you ran your tests, didn't you?
No, I didn't find any
See? A goose is...
That may be true for most people.
Master!
Edgar? You're...
Thanks to Emily, I'm out of the woods for now. Sylvain, no matter how hard you may try to hide it,
Edgar!
even if we could keep it a secret for another 10 or 20, no, he would never give up. Not if he's doing all of this for... That's Vijava's real name. Yelena wasn't a scholar from Sumeru. She was an exiled Fatus from Snezhnaya.
A Fatus?
The Fatui.
Ah, so you've already detected.
Oh,
The Auguste flower was created with the mutative and distorting power.
The Fatui, delusions.
Born of a delusion, Auguste contained distorted elemental energy. A prolonged exposure over many years could have a harmful effect on the body.
that's enough, Edgar. I'll take it from here. At first, Yelena wanted to keep refining the perfume, and it didn't have any effect on ordinary people anyway. Every day we postponed going to...
So you decided poisoning people was worth the risk?
Listen, it's not like it was good for business. But all that talk about Auguste being harmful over time, Yelena was just speculating. Unless you were particularly sensitive to elemental energy or had an entire bottle shoved down your throat like Edgar.
It may be true there are no records of Auguste poisoning, but even if no one was acutely poisoned, willfully bringing a product to market despite explicit knowledge of its harmful effects is still a serious crime. That explains why you were so intent on keeping Yelena and Kyria's involvement a secret all this time, despite readily confessing to all your financial crimes. The Fatui, delusions, Auguste. If the Mara Chassé Phantom discovered the connection between the three,
Ha! If I'd known coming to Sumeru would put a target on my back, I would have been more than happy to stay there. All these years without any sign of Kyria, and he pops up out of nowhere the minute my brother and Auguste was harmless before. The fact that it's killing people all of a sudden must be his doing as well.
So there's bad blood between you.
what about Yelena's death? Was that a cover-up too?
I'll admit, we thought about it at one point. We took care to disguise the products circulating on the market. But if the Mara Chassé Phantom decided to look into the flower beds, before we could even put our plan in motion, Yelena beat us to it. She burned all her flower beds.
But if her goal was to destroy evidence, yeah, she could have just burned the flower.
I thought about it for a long time. Everything she did. One of the reasons they defected from the Fatui was the deterioration of Yelena's body due to her excessive use. After arriving in Fontейна, Yelena continued using the delusion to cultivate the Auguste flower.
So she couldn't flee with her brother.
If her true identity was exposed, she and her brother, the Auguste flower and Yelena's own corroded body both bore the mark. So, in the end, she burnt it all to ash, including herself.
So the wealth you earned from Auguste, it wasn't destroyed in the fire?
Most likely. Before Yelena died, she said if anything happened to her, she was going to leave everything. That's why Lucien and I were searching for Kyria, to take back our Mora and the Auguste flower. We just didn't realize Kyria was baiting us the whole time. It was all a trap.
But why is Kyria out for revenge anyway?
I don't think he knew his sister was nearing death. Yelena always wore heavy makeup around him to conceal her deteriorating.
Then all we'll need to do is tell Kyria what real. I'm not so sure. Even if he knew the truth, he'd still find someone to blame. He might think Yelena was forced into using a delusion to cultivate Auguste. It's hard to pull yourself out of that kind of hatred.
Very true. Even if Yelena's
Edgar!
Think about it, Sylvain. If we hadn't been in such a hurry to if we hadn't been so blinded by greed, so insistent on increasing the scale of the flower if we hadn't invited the Mara Chassé Phantom to our doorstep.
She knew her limits. She knew her days were numbered. Maybe it was for her brother, but she was in it for the Mora just as much as us. We were just trying to earn a bit of Mora. And what, we deserve to die for that? Target me for being the mastermind. Lucien's crime. Was it really so extreme that he had to pay for it with his...
The only person that can answer that question is a judge.
Fine.
3 people from Fontейна, 1 from Snezhnaya, and a crime committed in Port Ormos. Well, we can only wait until the Academia sends someone to deal with it. I'm guessing we'll have to contact Fontейна as well. With the exhibition, we don't even have space in Port Ormos.
The hotel could suffice. Although with Sylvain's mental state and my physical one,
Mr. Edgar, are you saying...
if Sylvain is to stand trial, then I deserve the same fate. I'd just like to take care of a few things before I go. Say goodbye to my plants. As for Sylvain, I'm sure he also has some good... Would you be willing to grant that request?
Well, all right. I'll talk to the academia. The man we grew to know in Sumeru proved himself to be a good person.
You have my thanks, Sheriff.
Happen tonight? Oh, you mean the possibility that Kyria might try to finish...
Yeah! All we know is that he uses a goose to poison people. But we still have no idea how to... If he targets Sylvain or Edgar again...
That may be true. But what if we take advantage of this situation?
Master, no. That's...
So, that's your plan. If Kyria learns we're being taken away tomorrow, in other words, you want to use us as bait.
Capture? Not necessarily.
Afraid? This is my only chance to make him pay for what he did. I'm spending the rest of my life in prison anyway. I can't just sit back and let him ride off into the sunset with our fortune. As for the danger...
I'll admit, it could work. We just need... Then I'll station some of my men around the hotel.
I still have some reservations. But if you insist on carrying out this plan...
I'll also keep watch.
Although, I think Sylvain and if Kyria noticed another person in the room, he might decide to turn back.
You mean if he doesn't see a way to get his hands on...
If that were to happen, everyone's standing guard.
That's why everyone else needs to keep to the shadows.
You're still recovering. You need to rest.
This old pack of bones doesn't bounce back like it used to. I suppose I'll just have to leave the rest.
All right, we can figure out a plan to keep watch later. Right now, I say we split up.
Have you heard? Mr. Edgar's been detained. He's being taken away tomorrow.
What? He's the one who helped craft all the fragrances for...
He taught my child how to make perfume.
He hasn't been convicted yet.
Oh, everyone on the street is talking about the rumors. Let's head back to the hotel and take a break. We can... Emily! Sheriff Xian wants to talk to you on the...
Thank you, Colleague. But first, here. I prepared a kind of herbal tea that helps calm the spirit. Why don't you have some?
Oh, that's very kind of you.
Oh, it's not good to be so tense, especially when we've got a long night ahead. You seem very preoccupied with Kyria's revenge.
Oh, Hey, Emily, Colleague. Oh, are we interrupting something? No, not at all. This will be easier to talk through with you here anyway. I've just been thinking. If Kyria has the capacity to commit murder, there was just a single door separating them. If his intention, when I accompanied Sylvain to his room after Lucien died, and maybe Kyria did that on purpose. Maybe he wanted Sylvain to experience the... So did he attack Edgar as a warning then?
Based on what we've heard about Kyria...
Losing his sister all those years ago. Whenever I get to thinking like that, I just can't help but wonder. I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't think like that. There's
nothing wrong with the way you're feeling. In all my years of cleaning up crime scenes, I've witnessed countless families mourn their loved ones. Some of them even try to stop me, begging me not to erase the last remnants. Surround yourself with fragrance for too long, and your sense of smell will become dull. Allow yourself to be consumed by your emotions. So while you hold on to that, do Sylvain and Lucien really deserve to die? How much did they truly know about the answering those questions requires a lot of time and evidence. While I've witnessed a lot of deaths in Fontaine, when someone dies, but generally speaking, death will just leave most questions unanswered.
Once you're consumed by hatred, it will become next to impossible to think about things that way.
You're right. The fact that we can approach these questions from this perspective isn't because we're more rational, but that also makes us perfectly positioned to stand on the outside. I understand Kiria's decision, but I still want to stop him. Master, Sylvain, and Kiria.
Huh.
Emily, Traveler. Huh? Edgar.
Oh, it's you two! Didn't you head back to your room to rest, Edgar? Is it really okay for you to be out?
A little Besides, I don't have much time left in Sumeru.
We could do that for you, Master.
No need. I've grown attached to these flowers. I would imagine Sheriff Sham is...
The Night Watch! You mentioned
That's right. I've stationed some of my men around the surrounding area, but we still don't have anyone standing. Exactly. After some discussion, we concluded that Sylvain has the highest risk of being attacked next, and Emily's expertise is sure to come in handy in a pinch. That's why I want you two stationed next to Sylvain's room.
Sounds perfectly reasonable. I'll be...
Not a peep. Has Kiria given up on his revenge? Guess... Still nothing unusual. Paimon took a peek into the room next door and Sylvain's already sleeping.
Perhaps Kiria's true motive was simply forcing Sylvain... No, that can't be right. If all he wanted was for Sylvain to be convicted for his true crime, there must be something we're...
Maybe we just need to calm down a little. How about some tea? You're right. Maybe we can look for a different distraction then, like... Oh, there's a glaze lily here. Paimon didn't notice it earlier.
Flowers, glaze... Oh no! Sylvain's room! Quick!
Wait, what?
Hey, did you hear?
It was the older of the merchant brothers.
Yeah, I think his name was Sylvain.
First it was Mr. Edgar, then that merchant named...
Listen up, everyone. This is an act of crime.
It's been 3 days and they haven't even caught a glimpse.
Do you think it could be the work of an... I mean, how do you get away with something like that with so many...
Keep it moving, everyone. No loiter.
I suppose.
You don't know that. Kiria already attacked you once, and you survived.
You were the only reason.
Even if I wasn't there, Tignaри was...
Is that so? I have exceptional students, but Kiria has nothing. It really makes you wonder.
If you really want an answer, I suppose you'll have to ask Kiria himself.
Well, Emily, there's something else. But so many flowers were transported here for the show. Whether Kiria gets to me first, or I'm sent back to... I know it's a lot to ask.
Of course.
Really? Now
Sheriff Sham still has some questions.
Go ahead. Best not to keep him waiting. He can...
I'm sorry, Master.
Another all-nighter. I'm unsure hopes Emily's plan will go well. Emily still isn't back. I hope she didn't run into any trouble. Yeah, that's true.
Traveler, I had my men start spreading the information you requested. After listening to Emily's plan, I started getting the materials together. To be honest, I'm still not sure how the crime was committed.
The key clue was right in front of us the entire time. Let's go. We'll show you where the culprit hid it. Wasn't this incense originally in Lucien's room? This is it!
The glazed lily, huh? I think I've heard of it before. It's a
Well, did you know it only blooms at night?
Emily, you're back!
Exactly as.
a flower that only blooms at night.
Exactly. Although the Neelip Pala Lotus wouldn't be a good substitute in this scenario. That's why Kyria chose the glaze lily as his mechanism.
If applied to the outside, if poured into the flower pot, the liquid would seep into the... There's a sticky substance on the edge of the flower petals. It's... If you stick the petals together with slime condensate, then in the daytime, the
That's right. He applied a diluted form of slime. That way, the Auguste would remain trapped inside during the daytime, unable to seep between the petals and evaporate into the air. However, the diluted slime condensate wouldn't be viscous enough to prevent the petals of the glaze lily from opening at night.
And Kyria could execute his revenge without having to...
By the next morning, the sample of Auguste would have nearly fully evaporated. The glaze lily would have already closed its petals, and any lingering odor...
Wait a second. You're telling me this version of Auguste is so toxic? And how did Edgar even survive ingesting a whole bottle?
That's because Auguste is just as dangerous now as it was all those years ago. The level of
Ah, you mean people who are sensitive to elemental energy? That can't be right. They were involved in the operational...
I wouldn't use the word allergic necessarily. It's more... You can think of it this way. It's not that Sylvain and Lucien are innately sensitive to elemental energy, but that Kyria found a way...
The incense I smelled earlier seemed familiar. In Sumeru, scholars use spirit...
alchemically produced essential oils, the primordial seawater that caused unrest in Fontaine not too long ago.
That stuff gave us a lot of trouble when we first came to Sumeru. Ah, yes. I definitely...
In Sumeru, it's not uncommon to use incense indoors, so...
Flowers were pretty important to this plan, huh? The glazed lily is native to Liyue.
Actually, it's not a coincidence at all.
No wonder he was willing to pay a small fortune to rent out the hotel. He probably used the Mora Yelena left him, don't you think? That but in the end...
There's a saying among forensic doctors in Fontaine, but up until this point, we haven't been able to detect any trace of Kyria's activity. But because he's been disguised as someone else...
Creating such an intricate mechanism out of a glaze lily, it all points to one person. Kyria and Edgar?
But Kyria was only in his teens. Edgar's lived here for so many years. Even if he changed his appearance, Going that...
Bad news, Sheriff! Mr. Edgar was attacked!
What?
A dark shadow-like figure just ran out of his room. It was... But before we could even react, the figure up and disappeared like some sort of... Do you think Kyria kidnapped?
I need you to think very carefully about this.
I mean, Mr. Edgar was so
It would seem Master decided to tap into it.
What? But that's so dangerous.
But why?
No. If his aim was to target every...
If he left Sylvain alive yesterday, not out of a desire to seem...
Then...
The shadow-like figure ran in the direction of the elevator, and my partner immediately chased after them.
We should hurry before they're forced to confront each other.